everybody, this is Matt Barretto, and I am super excited to show you Motion Type Kit for Adobe After Effects. By the end of this walkthrough video, you will be set up, ready to go with the toolkit. You'll be familiar with the modular design system, and you will be off and running, creating your own custom graphics based on the templated comps right inside the After Effects project file. And I'm just pumped to see what everyone can create with the kit. So first things first, we got to get that font loaded up. This kit was designed with this font in mind. It is possible to change the font for most of the comps, but I would highly recommend sticking with this font because it lends itself nicely to that Kinetic Typography style. So you're going to want to visit fonts.adobe.com and search for Active Grotesque. So if you don't already have this installed, you're going to want to click the font family, come on over to Activate Fonts. Of course, you do have to be logged into your Creative Cloud membership. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. It's going to prompt you to log in. Come over here and you can activate all of them besides the thin weight. So once those are loaded up, it'll sync to your Creative Cloud and you'll be ready to go in terms of opening up that project file. So go over to your download that came with the purchase and open up the corresponding After Effects project file for your version. I'm on CC 2020. I will double click and get that open. All right, so we're inside Motion Kit Pro Kinetica, and you will immediately see 3 folders in the project panel. Typography, animations, texture, and lower third. The lower thirds are bonus comps that come with this purchase. These are editable and super easy to slap on footage. You can render out with an alpha and use that for your next interview or what have you. But those are there if you need them. They're in the same font and style, and I think they could be useful. So a nice little bonus. But going back up to the top here, this is the heart of the kit. So you're gonna open this up, and then you have your choice of all these different templated animations. And they all have different designs. They all animate differently. What these do have in common, however, is the modular design system. They're all set up the same way. You're about to see that. So once you get familiar with this, you're going to be able to buzz around this toolkit and sort of tailor these animations to your need, whether that's a film, motion graphics piece, edit, YouTube, some form of content. You're really going to be able to get in here and fly around. So let's start with a cool one here. I call it Dimension. So when you open up these folders, you're going to see an edit text folder and you're going to see a render folder. Every now and then you'll see a pre-comps folder that says don't edit or don't touch. And of course, don't touch it. The render comp is what you're sending to render or exporting out for your editing software choice. So when you preview this, you're going to see the animation as is. And right now, it's got this kind of, pulsing effect with the half fill and outline text. Very cool. And it's a 3-line graphic. Now, first things first, I assume for the most part, everybody's going to want to change the text to something that's specific to their, to their video. So you can edit the text by clicking this pre-comp here, or you can come in and click the pre-comp that's in this folder. It's the same thing. You can get to it just both ways, whichever is easier. So let's say we're doing something for Nike and we want to change this to just do it. You double click on that text layer there and you just replace your text. Now, there's also another control in here, and whenever there's a specific graphic that I feel needs something customizable, I will include it in this text pre-comp or somewhere abouts. And in this case, it's the ability to mess with this line right here. I just included, a quick note here that says slide this position to reveal more fill text. So if you like the fill and you want more of it, you just slide it right. If you want less of it, you slide it left. If you just like it as is, you leave it. So let's go back out to the render comp and we'll start to customize this to what we want. So let's say that we want to start with the color, and I put that on top for a reason. This is by no means the order in which you have to customize the graphics, but you could go from top to bottom if you like. You can jump around. At some point, you're just going to be kind of going through at your own pace and just experimenting and coming up with new looks for your graphics. So when you have the color control selected, you're going to see a bunch of swatches up here. The top one always references the text, followed by details color, elements color, grid color, a checkbox for alpha, and then background color. Starting with the checkbox for alpha, if you want to bring one of these graphics into your editing software and place it over footage, then you're probably going to want to select this. And what that does is that toggles the transparency on. So if you want to slap this graphic on top of footage and say Premiere or Final Cut, you would obviously customize it to whatever, however you want, and then you would render it out by hitting Control or Command M and rendering it out as a ProRes 4444 with an alpha. In that case, you want to make sure that RGB plus alpha is selected in this channel output. So that's an important part of this kit, and just a quick way to turn all these graphics into keyable graphics. So let's look at the other color swatches here. Let's say we want to change this color to, like, I don't know, some sort of sporty green. And details, elements, and grid. This is going to make sense in a few moments here, but let's leave it at white for now. And then the background, let's just, maybe we want like a just not so black background, put some gray in it. All right, so we've changed the colors to something that's more in line with whatever video we're working on or whatever shot we're working on. And moving down this list of controls, let's look at treatments. Treatments is another little layer of production value. There's all these checkboxes with very subtle effects that you may not find a need for all the time, but every now and then you might see something that you want to just quickly select, or you might use this as sort of a means of creating your own look and feel. You may establish some sort of aesthetic that you want to just put into all of your graphics that you create using this kit. So right now I have glow selected. I'm going to leave that on. I have posterized time selected, which if you don't know what that is, it changes the frame rate of your comp to whatever you've selected. I have it set up so it automatically cuts the frame rate in 2. So everything will be animating on 2s. There's a very subtle grain that you can put on. There's a rack focus. So, every few seconds, the camera sort of simulates a rack focus. It's just a little blur. There's a flicker. Let's just turn that off so you can better see that. And obviously it flickers. That's kind of cool. There's an optics compensation, which is sort of like a fisheye lens. There's a glitch preset, which is pretty cool if you're doing something, I don't know, sci-fi or digital, something for like a cybersecurity firm. You just throw that on and it'll glitch, the entire length of the composition. It'll just periodically sort of glitch out, which is nice. There's camera shake posterize. There's pop. This will pop back and forth. There's boil. I'll just play that really quickly. That's just kind of a popular motion graphics style where, your edges kind of look like they're in boiling water. And as you can see, you can layer these one on top of another as you see fit and create some pretty cool looks. And it's kind of like you're throwing stuff, onto a canvas and just seeing what mixes well together. That's a wobble. There's a little exposure that is kind of similar to the flicker, but it's like overexposed. And then there's this blur vignette, which will just blur the corners of the frame. And then there's a vignette that obviously darkens the corners of the frame. So I'm going to turn off glitch and rack focus for now, because I want to sort of show you more of the details, and I just want them to be clear. However, moving down this list, there's an animate in control, and this allows you to add some just subtle animation at the head of these comps. In case the comp you are editing doesn't have a specific animate in. So in this case, because I have the loop comp selected, I can mess with this stuff. However, if I was using this regular dimension render here, it has its own very specific animation built into it where the letters kind of blink and we do this crash towards camera and a little bank at the end. So that animate in control wouldn't be as relevant. But here in this looping comp, because it's not really doing much at the beginning, it's super relevant. So if you come in here and say you've got some sort of high energy edit and you've got a lot of cuts, you've got a lot of pops, you could just click that punch back. And for the first few frames of this animation now, it's gonna be big and then it's gonna cut back. And so you obviously want to turn, you only want one of these selected. And that one's punch up. We've got zoom out, which is less, not a cut. That's just a keyframe, like a camera move. Zoom in, as you can imagine, it's the other way. Oops, I gotta make sure only one of them selected. And slide up, slide down, slide left, slide right. So they're all basic, but just another way to sort of make them your own and sort of integrate them into some piece that you already are working on. There's also a drift checkbox, and that'll just create a drift over the entire length of the comp. That's your animate in control. So moving down again, we've got a details control. And these next three controls are the design-oriented controls. These are the elements that are going to really add some visual texture to your animation. And you're quickly going to make what can sometimes be just just a very cool basic animation into something that feels a lot bigger than it actually is. And that's what I think is really cool about this kit, because just with a few clicks, all of a sudden this graphic takes on a much bigger life of its own. So we've got a bunch of checkboxes here and an opacity slider. So whatever you do select here, you can tone back with this value from 0 to 100, of course. So let's check all these details off, and let's just go down the list. So we've got, let's just make sure this is at 100% opacity. We've got this right here, top and bottom text. We've got that. Details 3, a little different. And what does this stuff mean? It doesn't mean much, and it's not animated either. I decided to leave it static for now. If enough people maybe request that it's animated, I'll gladly do it. But for now, I figured the user is going to want to put something in, that is relevant to them or not. I mean, right now the text is obviously random. 5 is just a border outline. 6 looks sort of like an album cover. This is a really cool one, just kind of a sort of a random design there with some shapes. And then this one's really out there. It's almost like a topographic map. That I could see that being used for some abstract comps. And then design 9 is sort of like a viewfinder, very subtle. And then I included 2 letterboxes as well, just in case you want to kind of give it a filmic look. So let's keep one of these on. Let's keep this one on here. It's kind of cool. Just as a friendly reminder, you can always travel back to this color control and change these to a totally different color. If the color's not working for you at any point, you just go in and change it. So let's say we want to give it like a bit of a pale green, like in the same family, you do that. So one thing I did want to mention about the details, when you have these checked on, you're going to want to change these. There's a good chance rather. So you would come down into texture, visual texture, and come into details. And of course you have to just quickly remember which one you have selected, double click that comp. And you would change this to whatever you want. And of course that'll change out there. So that's how you change the ones that have words and letters. You'll just have to go back and forth between these details comps in your actual typographic animation. All right, elements. Elements are these abstract shapes that I've included that also can add just a kind of a little bit extra sauce. And these will just randomly dart around, and you can control the opacity. You can control which ones you want to see. And you can also control the random seed of them. So if you don't like, exactly where they're bouncing or cutting around, you just kind of tweak that slider, and that'll give you some randomness. This last one, you can't control the randomness, but it is pretty dang random. And those are just those little X's. So let's leave, say, one of them on, just like that. And let's bring it, it's already down to, say, 24% opacity. So our final, our second to last control is the grids control. And I've included a lot of cool grids that, again, with just the click of these checkboxes, you throw these in, and most of them are animated. And again, you're creating your own look and feel that's in this kinetic type family, but you've got all this flexibility built in so that these graphics can look pretty different from one another, or you can create, like I said, your own look and feel. So just moving through the rest of the list quickly, you've got some like grids, some dot based, some square based. This one's diagonal. These are just more crosshairs. And then this last one's like a bigger grid. I think we'll leave that there. And I like kind of fading it back into the background. Maybe we'll put it at 35. And again, as a reminder, grid color, you can change that to whatever you want. So the last control is just a quick way to move this around. How would this be helpful? Well, let's, again, say you're rendering this on an alpha, you check that off and you bring it into, Avid, Premiere, Final Cut, whatever, and you're going to put a piece of footage on this side of the frame, or maybe your subject is on this side of the frame. Well, you can do some legwork before you export. All right, guys, so that is the toolkit itself. I will definitely make some more tutorials in the future with different ways to use this. As you can see with the promo video, I put it over footage. I did a couple extra little layers of animation. I slid a few of them over, slid some of the footage over. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of ways to use this, and I think I will continue to find new ways, and I'm optimistic and hopeful that you guys will as well. So with that, I appreciate your time, and I hope this was extremely helpful. And I'm excited to see this out in the wild. And good luck, everybody, and thanks so much for your interest. Later.